So I'd like to introduce Greg McLaughlin here. He has the unique privilege of having implemented Apttus at two different companies and also being an Apttus customer for over 7 years. He's also been a Lighthouse customer on two different products for us and can definitely bring some great insight on how to deliver overwhelming benefit. So let me introduce Greg.
Thank you very much. And just so you know, I conducted a conference call at 3 in the morning, and I had to speak for an entire hour from 3 to 4 a.m. And I woke up this morning with no voice at all. I opened my mouth and nothing came out. So 4 cups of tea later and an entire bag of cough drops, I'm at least able to get this sort of raspy voice out. So apologize for the sort of hoarse throat that I've got, and hopefully we can all push through it. I don't always sound like this. So thank you for being here, and I am the vice president of global sales operations at a company called Getty Images, which is the leader in licensing visual imagery, sound, and video to editorial and creative companies across the world. We're not actually an Apttus customer. I've been at the organization for 6 months. We're definitely a prospect. But as you can see, I have a rich history of being an Apttus customer at different organizations. And having been a customer at 2 different organizations, I like to go around and say that I'm working on my 3rd marriage with Apttus. And I've implemented everything from CPQ to CLM, incentive comp, and e-commerce. At a company called Neopost, we were the first e-commerce customer for Apttus. At my last company, AppNexus, you might have seen them present here earlier, we were the first or second customer for incentive compensation. So I like to be on that cutting edge with Apttus, and I'm proud to be able to hold up their footprint slide and say that I've checked every box except Max. That's next. So I'd like to introduce the concept of overwhelming benefit. You can see I've trademarked it because I'm actually writing a book about it. And so what is overwhelming benefit? Overwhelming benefit is sort of my guiding principle that I've employed in all the programs that I've rolled out: CRM, quote to cash, incentive comp, ERP. And it's really an ideal that helps you make the right decisions in rolling out your programs and making them successful. And all it really is, it's a very simple concept. You need to be mindful of the value of the solution that you're rolling out to your customers, whether it's your internal customers or your external customers. And you need to be mindful of the ratio between that value that you're delivering and the cost in terms of either financial cost, time, or physical effort it takes to engage in the process or the technology. And essentially, as you're planning and developing and rolling out your solution, if you can get that ratio between the value and the cost to be really high, you will always achieve adoption success. It's very simple, but the way that I've put it together, hopefully it can help guide you in the way that you roll out your programs as well. So some of the components of delivering overwhelming benefit in your organization, starting with the highest strategic vision and making sure that that's really well socialized and established across your organization. Talk a little bit about how I've done that at different companies. Defining the playing field and changing the way people think about your solution. So I'm going to focus on CRM because that's the majority of my expertise. And so defining CRM in the right way becomes really critical because people think of CRM as Salesforce. If you ask any of your sales reps to say, what is CRM? Oh, CRM, that's Salesforce. Salesforce, CRM, same thing. It's not the same thing. And you need to make sure people understand the complete life cycle that you're automating with your program. And then ultimately delivering value-add technology that contributes to the high end of the equation and takes away from the low end of the equation. It delivers the maximum value at the minimum cost. And that's got to drive all your decision making as you're rolling out these programs. And then ultimately, the concept of enabling behavior. A lot of people that do what I do are really focused on driving adoption. You hear a lot of people talking about we have to drive adoption, we have to drive adoption. We have to have a top-down approach. The executives have to be bought in. The executives have to set the rules, set the KPIs, and we have to measure adoption and drive adoption. I would argue that it's not about driving adoption. It's about enabling behavior. Because if you deliver overwhelming benefit, you shouldn't have to drive adoption. The people should adopt because they want to, because they see that it helps them get to their objectives. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to give the best example I can of what I mean by overwhelming benefit. This is my iPhone. It doesn't have to be an iPhone. Any smartphone will do. This is the world's most highly adopted piece of technology ever. Billions of these are sold every year. And one of the reasons why this is the most highly adopted technology ever, and the best example I can give of overwhelming benefit, I can press one button. I can say 2 words, call dad. And within seconds, I'm on the phone with my 75-year-old dad, checking up on him, sharing details about my life, telling about this great presentation where I got this amazing applause from everybody. And he loves that. And it's great that I can make a human connection with one of the most important people in my life with 1 click and 2 words. I don't have to search for his number. I don't have to dial the keypad. I don't even have to remember his name, just dad, right? How simple is that? That's a great example of getting enormous value out of a piece of technology at a minimal cost. And that's what I mean when I talk about overwhelming benefit. So let's talk about CRM. We'll get it down to more of a business context. Everywhere I've gone, I've asked, what is CRM? And I've always gotten the same answer. Oh, it's the CRM system. CRM and the CRM system are 2 totally different things, and you need to make sure that your organization understands that. This is my definition of CRM. I think it's a pretty universal definition. I'd love to have it become more of an industry standard. It is the combination of the customer-focused behaviors that you want your customer supporting and customer-facing employees to exhibit on a day-by-day and minute-by-minute basis. Those behaviors should be supported by a set of processes and practices that are all perfectly aligned with your company objectives and the behaviors that you want your customer-focused staff to exhibit. And only once you've really defined these behaviors and processes should CRM ever be about the technology. Now the reality is we all spend the majority of our time developing the technology, which is fine, but you need to be focused on all 3 elements of CRM in order to really make it successful. Going back to our most highly adopted piece of technology ever, the phone is a way of life for every business professional in the world. The phone is not something that you pick up at 4 o'clock on a Friday and then answer all your emails and check all your texts and answer all your phone calls. It's done in real time. As your information comes in, you interact with your phone day by day, minute by minute. It's a way of life. That's where we need to go with CRM. And the only way to get there is to convert your CRM from something that people see as somewhat of an impediment, or at least a necessary evil, to an invaluable generator of overwhelming benefit. So how do you get there? Well, you need to define the playing field. And you need to define what I call the customer life cycle. Because you need to get people to understand that as a sales operations person, it's not just about the sales process and the salespeople. It's about the entire organization. Everybody that touches that customer. And so you need to define every customer touch point, starting with when your prospect just wanders onto your website to inquire about your company, through capturing that individual, converting them to a lead through your outreach engagement, throughout your sales process and all your sales stages, utilizing your marketing automation, your Salesforce automation. And then the forgotten piece, the most important piece, your quote-to-cash operation. Nobody makes money by closing an opportunity in Salesforce, but everybody makes money when they take their customer from a quote to a contract to a billing. This is where the most important operation takes place. And so this has to be the centerpiece of your customer life cycle. A lot of CRM leaders have it backwards. That leads into the onboarding of your customer, the customer success operations, your customer service, managing the risk, and ultimately leading to your renewal processes, which take you back to the beginning, identifying new leads, upsell opportunities, cross-sell opportunities, and taking your customer through this cycle over and over again. I would argue that every company should have a chart that looks something like this. You can do it in your own way, but every company should define their CRM program as a strategic program focusing on behavior, process, and technology and connecting the dots from start to finish across your entire customer touchpoints. This is what it should be all about. And there's the different data that all comes together in that process. So let's take it and give a very specific business example of overwhelming benefit. I don't know how many of you are not on an e-signature yet. If you're not, I don't know what you're waiting for. This is the process that it takes to get a piece of paper signed by a customer without e-signature. It's 18 steps, 9 on the customer side, 9 on your side. It's very physical. You have to literally get up from your desk and walk to a printer. You have to find a pen. You have to physically sign the document. You have to find a scanner. I don't even know where the scanners are in my office. You have to then scan the document, walk back to your desk, upload the document, email it to customer, email it back to your partner. And then you, as the provider, have to go and do the same process. It's ridiculous. E-signature, just like our highly adopted iPhone, is one click. And in my experience, I've seen that non-e-signature contracts, 24 to 48 hours to get it done because people put it off. They don't want to get out of their desk. They don't want to walk across the office, so they wait until the end of the day. E-signature, 2 to 4 hours. Why not get your contract signed 2 hours earlier, 2 days earlier? That's overwhelming benefit. The benefit far exceeds the effort on the e-signature side. So I already gave you the call dad example. I'm going to ask, raise your hand if you're willing to give me your phone. I'm going to take it back to New York, put it at my desk, and I'll mail it back to you a week from now, 1 week. $100, give me your phone, I'll mail it back to you. $1,000, nobody's going to give up their phone. All right, I've done this in meetings. I said, okay, who would pay me $10 to disable their Salesforce login for a week? Everybody in the room puts their hand up. So what's the difference? We looked at the difference, and the iPhone, I've had the same 4-number login for my iPhone for 10 years, right? It doesn't change every 60 days. It's always connected. All the information I need is in there. How many of you have a contact database with first names and no last name, last names and no first name, no titles, bad email addresses, no phone numbers? You're all nodding your heads. Your contact databases suck, right? Okay, how many of your sales reps have a perfect contact database in their phone? Why is it that the sales reps can't get it right in the CRM system, but it's perfect in the phone? Because the phone gives them overwhelming benefit. The phone helps them get their job done, or at least in their perception, this is their tool that they can't live without. The CRM tool, they do it because they have to. That's the difference. If you want perfect data in your CRM system, you need to deliver so much overwhelming benefit that this just becomes a way of life for your sales reps, just like their phone. It's the best example I can give. So I want to give 3 different examples. I'm going to start with a small example. I'm going to go to a bigger example, and then I'm going to give what I think is sort of the biggest game-changing example of overwhelming benefit and give you some business context. So the MIN, Customer Relationship Automation. Have you heard this term? It's sort of an offshoot of CRM. The idea is that CRM has somewhat become the data entry system, the system that people put information into. Hopefully CRM delivers information and value back. But customer relationship automation are all these little applications that you add in that give back to the sales rep. And so the one example is the concept of the business card scanner. This is an old application. It's been around for 10 years. Before the business card scanner, your reps would come back from a trade show, and 4 o'clock on a Friday, they'd stack them on the table, and they'd start typing them into the system. Now, they didn't perceive this to be a valuable exercise, except that they wanted the end result of having the business cards in the system. They didn't always type the title. They didn't always type the title correctly. If it was VP of something, that's VP, good enough. They didn't capitalize the names correctly, right? So Sarah Van Den Heuvel, whatever, Van, capital V, small v, what's the difference? So they had a bad database. Plus, as they got tired, they made errors. Now they can spread the business cards on the table, take pictures, and the application just throws it into your system as accurate, comprehensive data. The effort is reduced, the value is increased, That's overwhelming benefit. That's what I call the min. Now onto the mid. So this is a little bigger solution. Sales performance management, you've heard of this new concept? These are these new systems where you can add intelligence to your CRM database that will mine your contact database, find the best targets, and automatically send the best possible content to those targets. It happens in the background. The sales rep doesn't even know it's happening. And then the sales rep just gets the benefit of the leads that result from those efforts. So now we've reduced the effort even more. The sales rep doesn't have to do anything. They don't even know it's happening. And then they still get the benefit of those leads on the back end. There's a reason why primates eat bananas and not walnuts. The bananas are a lot easier to open and get the food. The walnuts are harder to crack open. Same thing. Sales performance management delivers overwhelming benefit because there's almost no effort on the part of the sales rep and they get all benefit. So who can tell me what they think I'm going to say is the max for overwhelming benefit? It's kind of a trick question. Machine learning. The max is the virtual sales assistant, and ironically, Apttus' version of that is called Max. See the little tie-in there? The whole idea that you could get your sales reps' hands off the keyboard and leverage, what do we call this? The world's most highly adopted technology. The fact that you can get your sales reps interacting with the technology that they're comfortable with, that they understand, that they want to use, is game-changing. And anyone that isn't embracing Max as the wave of the future, I think you're missing a big boat. You're missing the game changer. To me, this is the same moment that I experienced 20 years ago when people started saying, hey, you know, there's this new company, Salesforce, and you can start putting your data in the cloud. I think Max is as much of a game changer as that. Quote to cash. Now, quote to cash is a great example of overwhelming benefit, but if you think about quote to cash, the cost is not low. This is at least a six-figure investment. So if the cost is not low, the benefit better darn well be really high. In most companies, quote to cash operation looks like this. Your quoting is done in some homegrown system. Your contract is done maybe by email. It's on people's hard drives. Your billing is done in Oracle or some other ERP. Your incentive comp is done in Excel. Or maybe it's done in some one-off system, but none of it connects, none of it ties together. Well, put that whole process together and have one partner to tie that process start to finish. And that's where you get an exponential value in having these processes automated, all right? You could go to a separate partner for each of these processes. You won't get that connectivity, you won't get that integration. And the best example I can give of why quote to cash under a single partner is such overwhelming benefit is the ability to take your incentive comp, which is sort of the end of your process, and tie it back to your CPQ, which is the beginning of your process. Companies that don't tie their incentive comp to their quoting process are like parents who reward their kid for a good grade 60 days after they get the good grade. Kid has no idea why you're buying them ice cream. No clue. But if they walk into their test and they know, okay, if I get a B, I get a single scoop cone, but if I get an A, I get a double scoop sundae, they're going to perform a lot better on their test. Same thing here. If your sales reps are constructing their quote and your quote to cash partner enables them to see, if I structure my quote in this way, I can expect this compensation and these approvals. But if I construct it this way, I don't have those approvals and I make more compensation, it's going to drive their behavior at the point at which the behavior takes place. Right? That is overwhelming benefit to both your sales rep, who can maximize their compensation, and to the company, who can preserve their margins in their quoting process. That's a win-win. Ultimately, it's a win-win-win because your customers get the best possible solution. Because when sales reps construct their configuration under this kind of guidance with things like guided selling, they produce the best possible outcome for the customer, the best possible outcome for themselves as commissioned sales reps, and the best possible outcome for the company, which is trying to make the margin. And that's where quote to cash really delivers overwhelming benefit. And companies that I've been with, I've seen reduction in process steps by 40%. I've seen contracts come in the door 60% faster. One of the companies I was with was very much of a consumption business where as soon as the customer signed that contract, they started using the website and consuming the product. And as soon as they started consuming the product, the company started making money. Well, if you can accelerate that by 60%, that's enormous. That's real money, that's real overwhelming benefit, and that justifies any investment in cost that you make. So I talked a little bit about adoption. I have a kind of unique, interesting way that I look at adoption, and this will be kind of the last piece that I cover. I think it's important when you look at adoption to measure sales performance, their performance against quotas, targets, budgets, and that's the axis going up and down, and to compare that to the adoption of your system. And I like to have multiple adoption measures based on volume of usage, quality of data, conformance to expected processes. Take all those, weight them, and come up with an index and give a number to all of your users. So you can measure them in a 9 block. And then what you do is you label your blocks, right? So the people that have the highest performance and the best adoption of your processes, the best behaviors, those are your guiding lights. Those are the people that you want to model, you want to reward, you want to get everybody emulating those people because they're performing the best and they're doing all the activities that you would expect of a highly productive sales or customer support person. Your next category, I call them your shooting stars and your rising stars. Your shooting stars are really, really successful despite the fact that they don't necessarily engage in all the behaviors you want them to. You want to reward them, but you want to point out the guiding lights and say, you know what? You're performing just as well as these guys. If you did what they're doing, you'd be even ahead of them. Your rising stars are doing all of the right things. They're just not quite there yet. Usually they need a little bit additional training. Maybe they're younger, maybe they don't have as much experience, but those are your future guiding lights. So you really want to focus on delivering business support and training to those people. Your middle people are your future stars. They could go any way, but you really want to get them connected to your guiding lights, have your guiding lights mentor, guide, support them. Now you start to get into some of the more concerning areas. You've got the hot dogs, the people that are killing it, doing really well, despite the fact that they don't do anything they're supposed to do. That's not sustainable. They might be successful now. They might be successful because they've got some industry expertise or they've got connections, but it's not going to last forever. You got to keep your eye on those people. As soon as they start to dip, you jump on them and you tell them, look, this isn't going to work forever. You need to move to the right or you're not going to survive. You've got your puppy dogs. Your puppy dogs are the ones that are doing everything. Their database rocks. They've got 1 million contacts and every record has every data point filled in perfectly. They're not just doing enough, they're just not doing enough selling behavior. Those are the people that, number one, maybe you tell them, you know what, it's great that you spend 8 hours a day updating your system. Let's find the right balance. Maybe you don't have to be so adopted. Maybe we need to get you more focused on the right behaviors. Maybe they need training. You got to help them with their balance. You got to get them to move up the chain. You got your cold suspects, your hot prospects. Your cold suspects aren't performing that great, and they're not doing anything to help themselves. Keep your eye on those guys. They're either going to move up or out, right? Cut them a little bit of slack, but not much. Those are candidates for dismissal from the business. Your hot prospects, those are people that they're doing the right things, so you should encourage them, you should help them, but you need to see a business improvement. If you've provided all the training and guidance you can, they need to move up that chain. Then you got your bad dogs. And I used to work at GE, and I don't know if you've read the case studies about GE. What does GE do with their bottom 10%? They cull them. GE gets rid of their bottom 10%. This is how they do it, right? They don't just look at the bottom 10%. You got to be careful not to cut your puppy dogs, right? Because your puppy dogs, your hot prospects, and your bad dogs are all at the bottom, but not everybody at the bottom is the same. Your bad dogs are your bottom 10%. You got 9 blocks. They're 1 out of 9. Roughly, that's your bottom 10%. Those are the ones, don't train them. Don't give them too much attention, right? If they're not going to help themselves, then there's no reason for you to help them either. If they start moving in the right direction, embrace them. Otherwise, cut them 6 months and then get rid of them. They're dead wood. So that's really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the concept of overwhelming benefit, give you a little bit about the vision, the definition of CRM, give you some business scenarios, talk about the min, the mid, the max, and talk about some of these sort of business solutions and give you really good examples of how overwhelming benefit really helps you succeed at launching and making these programs successful. So are there any questions? So I think one last point for you, it's always good to make sure you know the voice of your customer, because how do you know if you're delivering overwhelming benefit if you don't ask? So what I want to ask you is 2 things. Did the value of being here in this half hour exceed the half-hour cost that you spent? Yeah, I got head nodding. I appreciate that. How about Accelerate? I'll give a little plug to Apttus because this is one of my favorite conferences. Has the value of the 2 days you spent here exceeded the cost of the 2 days that you spent? Yeah, I totally agree. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll be around if anybody has any questions, and I appreciate the time that you spent with me today.